Hi, everyone. We're at it again. Welcome to Sports and Shorts of Sorts, episode 18. Let's do what we do, like we do in every one. Start with our jerseys, There's been some pretty good players to rock the number 18 throughout the days, and the first one that comes to mind is, hello, Peyton Manning. Currently wearing his jersey, obviously. He played it his entire professional career. He did rock the 16 back at Tennessee, but you think 18, you think Peyton Manning. He's everything you wanted in a quarterback, minus the mobility, I guess. He ran like a giraffe that was just shot by a trank gun, so that's not very good, but he didn't need it. He had his huge head, and that huge head holds a huge brain. He was so active at the scrimmage, changing calls on the go, seeing what the defense is doing. We all remember him yelling, Omaha! Omaha! He does what he has to do. He won a Super Bowl with the Colts against the Bears. He won with the Broncos, like the jersey I'm wearing today. This was my dad's, so yeah. But yeah, they won over the Carolina Panthers. Some remember Cam Newton not jumping on the ball. I mean, that last Super Bowl, it was more of the defense carrying Peyton. Regardless, he did what he had to do. He's won the MVP more than anyone. He's won it 5 times. He's got 14 Pro Bowl selections, 7-time first team, 3 times second team. And it's crazy to think like there was a massive debate which on who was going to be the better quarterback, Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf. And I think the Colts made the right choice on that one, but yeah, one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. Some might say, well, he's no Tom Brady. Tom Brady's got more rings. Their head-to-head matchup 11-6, but it's a team game, right? So you can't just put it on them. But numbers don't lie. But hey, I liked Manning more. He's been good on TV, great on Saturday Night Live, like that one skit where he's just whipping the ball at the kids. I don't know. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, sticking with the NFL, you have Randall Cobb. He's War 18, former Packer. He's followed Aaron to New York, so he'll be playing with Rodgers in the Big Apple. But Chargers legend Charlie Joyner, good receiver, longtime Bengal AJ Green on the footy pitch. You have 2 massive players. One fellow ginger, Paul Scholes, one of the best of his generation. Scholesy, he couldn't get you a tackle, but he could put the ball anywhere you wanted. The other legend, Barcelona legend Jordi Alba, he's rocked 18 for Barca and the Spanish team. Some considered one of the best fullbacks of his generation. And on the hardwood, I couldn't think of a lot. Dave Cowens, Boston Celtics great, former MVP in '73. There's always footage of him diving on the court like bona fide hustler. But yeah, he won 2 titles with the Celtics, and like I said, 18 was tough. Phil Jackson, more known for coaching, he wore 18 during those title teams on the New York Knicks. But yeah, that was really all I could come to my mind of classic players. And hockey, of Denny Savard, considered one of the best players in NHL history. He had that spinorama move. If you don't know it, look it up. Savard's spinorama. It's crazy. He never did win a title in Chicago. He lost 4 times in the conference finals, but he did win a ring with the Canadiens in '93. The last time a Canadian team did win the Stanley Cup. But yeah, that was it for jerseys. And it's the days of summer, so we're going to jump right to baseball, right? And the Jays, they started the week earlier going into Chicago to play the White Sox to avenge the other laundry team, the Red Sox, taking them down in a sweep. And yeah, they came out all right. The first game, Vladdy had a 8th inning home run that proved to be the winner in the opener. The second game was delayed. Thank you, Rain. So it set up a doubleheader on Thursday, and you had Barrios and Lynn in a frickin' pitcher's duel. Relievers did the same thing, went to extra innings, and then the Jays bats were like the Kool-Aid man entering a party. It just went boom, exploded right in there. 6 runs in the extra inning, and yeah, they held on to win. The third game, they held on to win as well. Vladdy hit the winning RBI with some terrible base running, and they had Merrifield turning into a frickin' home run machine, but Jays swept the Sox after getting swept by the Sox. So good on them. The Jays would fly from Chicago to Detroit to take on the Tigers, and yeah, Jays were feeling themselves. They had Manoah coming back from assignment. He is looking atrocious all year, so we were wondering like, are they bringing him back too quick? He came back and he went 6 strong, gave up a run, struck out 8 along the way, and the bats showed up with them. The Jays just kept clobbering them out, and they ended up winning 12-2. So you're like, wow, the Jays bats are awake, except they must have forgot them at the hotel for the second game against the Tigers. Tigers picked up their first ever combined no hitter against the Jays. So yeah, like I said, they must have forgot the bats. I'm not sure, but the rubber match, you're like, who's gonna take it? And the Tigers were looking to do their thing, but Mr. Clutch for the Jays, Danny Jansen, the ninth inning, hit a two-run bomb, the forced extra innings, where Lucas would bring Varsho home in the 10th, gave them their first lead of the game, and Romano came in, who is going to the All-Star game as a replacement, by the way. Came in, got another save, so swept the Sox and took 2 out of 3 against Detroit. Pretty good going into the break, but there is another game, another series I'd like to highlight over the weekend. You had the NL leading Braves, who have been Mike Caliente, very hot right now, and they were taking on the Rays, who were leading the AL. So you had a potential World Series matchup going down here, and the first game was pretty close, one-run game. Second game was close until the Braves had an outburst in the fourth inning, and then the third match, Tampa Bay managed to get one back, so they lost 2 out of 3, but they still sit atop the MLB for best record, and the Orioles are just a few games behind them. But in the NL, the Braves they got a stranglehold on the league. So NL leading Braves at the break, AL leading Rays. And another highlighted team. I know I'm doing a lot of baseball here, but yo, let's see, like the only thing running right now. But this guy is worth every dollar you put into your ticket. Ellie De La Cruz. You're probably getting sick of hearing this guy's name, but I don't know. He is so much fun to watch. He had that little spat earlier in the week when Martinez, the manager of the Nationals, saw this he's got a little nub on the bat. Like, hey, what is that? That's got to be illegal. And no, it's like a tracker. It keeps track of your swing. It helps players improve. And after they determined it wasn't illegal, he comes out, crushes a bomb, points at it like, what up? And so everyone's like, ooh, this guy's got swagger. So then what does he do against the Pirates later in the week? Gets on first, right? Boom, steals second. Boom, steals third. And everyone's like, oh man, he's stealing third. Oh, boom, he steals home. He stole second, third, and home in the span of a few pitches. Like, the guy is lightning disguised as a human. He is so fast. The Reds are relevant again. They're leading the NL Central. People are talking about Joey Votto again. Like, what is going on? Love it. Good on them. So, yeah, and with wrapping up baseball here, we got the Midsummer Classic. Everyone's taking the little All-Star break. It's not, pardon me, it's not a long break, like they'll be returning the ball on Friday, but Seattle's going to be the bump in place. Monday night, you got the Home Run Derby. You can go either way. You got J-Rod, I think he'll be doing pretty good in front of the home crowd. And Pete Alonso usually does amazing at these things, but I'm going with the White Sox. Luis Robert Jr. I watched a little bit of him in that Jays series. I think he's going to take it. He's going to take it for the White Sox. And then in the big game, NL, AL, the AL have kind of dominated the last bit. Until this year, the NL will be winning the All-Star game this year, rooting that 9-game streak. So we'll see. We'll see what's up. I don't know how good my record is. We could check the stats, but I doubt they're very good. But hey, I think I got a good hunch about this one. And I'm not just talking about this bad boy on my back, but we'll go from the Diamond, we'll slide our way over to the racetrack. We'll go over to England, Silverstone. They had the British Grand Prix, and it's always a pretty big race on the circuit. And qualifying was a disaster again for Perez. He couldn't get out of Q1 for the third time this season, starting in 15th. Of course, we know where his teammates started. Max got his 5th pole in a row, 7th of the season, but McLaren did really well, getting second and third behind Lando and Piastri, so they were looking pretty good. But yeah, we'll see where that would lead into the race, and it looked good. Lando, great start. He's ahead of Verstappen. It's like, whoa, is Max going to not win a race? But then a few laps went by, DRS was enabled, 5th lap, Max passes him, and yeah, it was a good race otherwise, but Max won again. Surprise. It's crazy what this guy is doing. That's his 6th in a row. Team's 11th in a row. Tying a Mark McLaren set back in 88, which they'll probably break. But there was other good stuff going on. Like I said, there was McLaren was looking to have a good outing. Lando finished second, his best finish at the British Grand Prix, and teammate Piastri finished fourth. So McLaren, they're feeling pretty damn good about this, and it's a home track for them. And yeah, they must be pretty pumped. And when there was a yellow flag earlier in the race, teams had a big decision. McLaren went to the hard tires, Red Bull went to the softs, and Mercedes did a split and split. But the way it turned out, Max obviously first. Like I said, Lando got second. Lewis Hamilton finished up the podium. And then fourth, you had Piastri. Fifth, George Russell. So three out of the top five were English at the British Grand Prix. That's pretty good. And then you had Perez in sixth, who, again, like I mentioned, started 15th and had to work his way back. Like, they're probably pissed that he can't have a good qualifying because they could be probably finishing 1-2. But anyway, the Ferraris finished ninth and 10th in another disappointing outing. And no race next weekend, but Hungarian Grand Prix goes down on July 23rd. And oh, the big news in Silverstone as well. You might have seen Brad Pitt and film crews around. They're continuing to film this movie. I don't know what the movie is, or I'm guessing it's about F1. I'm wondering, yeah, what's going to happen with this and how much of the actual race they show. But we'll see. And I know a lot of people don't like Summer League, so I'm not going to go in depth of each game. I know not everyone's a super basketball nerd, but there are a few players that have stood out, like in the California Classic in Sacramento. Everyone talks about the Vegas Summer League, which, understandably so, is the biggest one, brings in the most people. It's Vegas, too. But the one in Sacramento, you had Keegan Murray. I don't even know why he's playing for the Kings. The guy set a record for the most three-pointers in a league as a rookie. He played big minutes for a playoff team. But, you know, these guys come and they tune up their game. So he's doing what he's got to do. Big ups to him. Another guy, not nearly getting as much credit last year, but he was a G League most improved player last year. Lester Quinones for Golden State. You know, undrafted guy last year. Like I said, did good things in the G League. He's looking great right now. And with Poole getting shipped out and with them not having a tons of cash, I think Lester Quinones is going to have a good year. I know it's just Summer League, but I'm just telling you. Salt Lake City is having theirs as well. They were. And the OKC Thunder. These two guys, I don't even know what to mention them. Trey Mann, he had, you know, glimpses in the NBA, but he was mostly bouncing back and forth in the G League. This guy can play. They have a very busy backcourt, but I think Trey Mann, he's gonna have to play. He's that good. He's gonna work his way in. Obviously, Chet Holmgren, number 2 pick last year, missed the whole year due to injury. He's doing it on both ends of the floor. He's like a mini Wembanyama, but which is still pretty good. But don't get me wrong, and we'll get more to him later. But Holmgren, he's looking good. OKC, I can't wait to watch them this year. Like I was hyping up Shea Gilgeous-Alexander all year. They're going to be good to watch. The last mention I'll mention from that, Utah, Keontae George. He's been doing great. Summer League, 16th pick out of Baylor. Steal in the draft potentially. So I'm just going to have a quick sip. But we go to Vegas and we go to the big show. Well, not that big show, but Victor Wembanyama, San Antonio. Everyone's been hyping him up. In the first game, he did not. Offensively, he struggled, you know, and he came out after and said he didn't know what he was doing at times, and conditioning is a factor right now. But the 5 blocks is the big thing. The 9 points, 8 rebounds, atrocious shooting. Ugh, don't look at that so much, but that 5 blocks, that shows where his ceiling is, and he's already popped through the ceiling because he's so tall, but the sky's the limit for this guy defensively, and everybody, the internet shitting on him after that first game. Kai Jones put him on a poster. That was a mean alley-oop, I'll give him that. But, yeah. The second game came around and everyone they stopped talking because he went 27 points, 12 boards, 3 blocks, dunking on everybody. This is what people expected, and got to remember, it's a young dude. He's moving over, he's trying the shit out. He's gonna be the real deal though. But just give it time, and remember, it's Summer League. Don't always look at the numbers. Do the eye test, right? Because these numbers could be inflated. They could be whatever. Like, they're not playing against NBA talent. These are guys that could be in the NBA, but the caliber isn't there. So let's just give it some time, Rome wasn't built in a day. So let's see what happens. And like, Pop must be impressed. And Greg Popovich signed a 5-year contract extension, reportedly worth over $80 million. He'll be 79 at the end of this contract, but he's like, I got to stick around to coach this guy. I want some more rings. Like, I'm not expecting one next season, but is year 2 out of question? Let's see. I'm holding back. I'm not getting too amped. Let's let's be patient. But yeah, sticking with the court, there was some good WNBA action throughout the week. Earlier, you had the Aces and the Dallas Wings going head to head. It was a really good game. Two offensively talented teams. Candace Parker, Chelsea Gray, and Asia Wilson were too much, and they got the win. Then you had stars going against each other that same night. You had Phoenix Mercury and Brittany Griner going up against New York Liberty and Stewie. Brianna Stewart did what she had to do, going for 43 points, 12 boards, and 6 dimes. Other games that night, you had the Fever coming up short against the Minnesota Lynx and their beast known as Nafisa Collier. And then, yeah, Friday, there was a rematch between the Wings and the Aces. I said that was a real close game. The Aces pulled it up. This one went back and forth, back and forth. The Wings, they were down, but they came back and they held on, giving the Aces only their second loss of the season. So they were 16-2, and like going into Sunday, they had to avenge that. And they were like, yo, Minnesota, we're going to take it out on you. And they pummeled Minnesota. Kelsey Plum went for 40 points. Career high, Vegas Aces high. I thought Asia Wilson would have had more than that, but no. Kelsey Plum's got the career high, 40 in the Aces high. But yeah, good honor. And she's also married to Darren Waller of the New York Giants, former Raiders player, which I'm excited to see what he can do as a Giant. But anyway, the Mercury, they played the Spark Sunday as well, and it was a featured game because Brittany Griner threw down the first dunk of the WNBA season, so good on that. And Dallas played again, and they beat the Fever by a point. Arike Agbanwale, 28 points. I'm telling you, she is the ticket to watch in the WNBA. She is a gunner. But last WNBA mentioned, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, who I mentioned earlier. They're starting a new women's basketball league to kind of give the players an option to stay in North America rather than go overseas. It's expected to run from January to March, and the games will be 3-on-3 or 1-on-1, which is kind of an interesting thing. So I don't know, I'm intrigued to see where that goes. Footy, there was the under 21s, and England can sing "We're coming home," just not for the men's national team. Still, the women have won it. The under 21 men's have won it. They just beat Spain on the weekend to win. But bringing footy back to North America for a bit, there was the Gold Cup. I was shitting on how Canada was drawing each game. They did get a win against Cuba to set up a quarterfinal against the U.S. on Sunday, which was actually a pretty good game. Unless you were looking in the goals and you wanted to see a bunch during the game, you might have had to wait till late. 88th minute out of 90 minutes. The 88th minute, we saw an opener. USA went up. And then in stoppage time, VAR helped the Canadians. We got a penalty. Steven Vitoria pulled up, boom, put it in straight down the middle. We needed extra time. And we're like, I know it wasn't a star-studded affair, but there were a lot of good players out there yet. And we went to extra time, 108th minute. Jacob Schaffelberg put Canada ahead. The crowd was stunned. The Cincinnati crowd was like, what is going on? Looked like Canada was going to steal it. 114th minute. Oh no. Own goal. Puts the USA on even terms. We'd need penalties. What a roller coaster of emotion. But USA proved to be a little more nervy. They came up winning 3-2 in pens, but it was a good game. We gotta be proud of the way Canada played. U.S. played a little better, so yeah, give them their props. The semis go down on Wednesday. USA will play Panama, Jamaica, and Mexico, with the Gold Cup final taking place next Sunday. But you gotta give credit to them. One MLS shout out I'll mention earlier in the week. There was the El Tráfico. If you're not familiar with that, it's the LA derby between the LA Galaxy and LAFC. This 5-year rivalry has brought people into their seats. This year was no different. There were already 80,000 people at this match. And it was a good game. Back and forth. Galaxy went up. LAFC tied it up early in the second half. But then the 72nd, Ricky Pooch, like that name too, he got the winner, putting the Galaxy up and securing them the win. So good on them for their El Tráfico victory. We'll jump to the UFC. I know I don't always talk combat sports, but this was a card for the ages, you might say. 4 knockouts that took less than a minute. Jesus Aguiar, 17 seconds. This punch was pretty rank. You could see right away, lights out. Denise Gomez got her 20 second, her win in 20 seconds. She pummeled her opponent till the ref called it. Robbie Lawler was going out with his little swan song fight, and he won it in 32nd seconds. I was already reading about it in the internet saying, oh, Price took a dive. It's like, man, just let's let the guy go out on good terms and retire. He won his match in 38 seconds. Let him retire. You also had Bo Nicol. I hope I said his name right. Took down Woodburn in 38 seconds. That was some pretty heavy blows on that one. If you see him, I think the lights went off a few times. Then you had Duplessis beat Whitaker. And you had a little face-off between him and Israel. So we'll see where that leads. But the headliner of the night, Volkanovski beat Rodriguez in the third round. So Dana White could not have been happier with that card. It's got me talking about it. And I always talk about it. I know I'm not a big audience, but man, it brought people to their seats. So good win for the UFC. And I failed to mention CFL last few times, but I'm not doing it this time. The Saskatchewan Roughriders pulled out a squeaker against the Elks off a late rouge to seem to confuse the hell out of the returner, but the 12-11 victory was big for the Rough Riders, and it has me uttering a sentence I don't always use, a win by the rouge. I like it. But yeah, you can tell there's confusion of player coming up and just not knowing the rules that well, but hey, regardless, win for the Riders. They'll be taking on the Stamps next. But yeah, other games that happened. You had the Bombers blowing up the Stamps 24-11. The Tiger Cats clawing the Red Blacks 21-13. And the Lions chow down on the Alouettes 35-19. Like an actual lion fighting a little bird. It was like that. But yeah, good week for the CFL. But yeah, we're going to jump into a short here. And this one, I didn't know where to go really. But the news kind of inspired this one. There was all this video of this devastating tornado that struck in Alberta recently, and it had me thinking of my own time when we encountered our own twister. And I'm not talking about movie night with Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, rest in peace. I'm talking about the time we jumped into our van to drive from Prince Albert to Saskatoon to bring my nan and cousin to the airport because they were going back to England. They were down for a visit, so just like any other drive we had done. And growing up in PA, you did a lot of traveling away from PA. So everything seemed good, and then things were starting to get dark quick, real quick. And just figured a storm was coming. Storms on the prairies, this is a regular thing, right? So just continue driving. Hail's starting. Okay, it's not loud, but Dad was driving, things under control. There's some people, you're in a vehicle and they're driving, you're like, okay, I could sleep. I don't do anything. I'm fine. That was like driving with my dad. So I felt good. Me driving, maybe not as much, but I felt good. I was comfortable, but, it was getting darker. It was getting windier. You could see like this was going down. But we had a big van, few benches in it. So we were spread out pretty good. My mom could no longer sit shotgun. The storm was starting to freak her out. So she got up. And she switched seats with my cousin. I don't recommend doing this while driving, but hey, it was the 90s. So yeah, we did that. And my cousin laughed when he's nervous. So he's like laughing pretty good sitting in the front, which made us all kind of nervy. But yeah, it was getting super black out. My mom's yelling to my dad, like, you're going too fast. And he was like 60 to 70 range, he said, because like he's just going with the flow. People were still driving through this thing. And like, yeah, my mom kept saying, "Hey, put your pillows over your head." Like me and my nephew were trying to look out the window, and she's like, "Keep your heads down, keep your pillows up." Like I don't know if she thought the roof was gonna open up, but she said, "Keep your pillows or bags up." And she told my nan to put her bag over her head, and I could hear her lift her one bag, and it kind of dropped on her head. She's like, "Oh, that's too heavy." So I was laughing. I feel bad laughing at it now. You're laughing at your nan drop a bag on her head, but yeah, it was, I don't know, we were just going and this felt like forever. I know as a kid, time kind of, it's not the same as you're an adult. You have different concepts of time, but it felt like it was forever. And like, there was a vehicle in front of us and it was pulling a boat. And I don't know if the boat wasn't strapped down enough or what, but you could see it start to sway. It was gone. Suddenly into the field. The truck pulls over. Obviously, they're like, "Oh, well, that's our boat." But yeah, it was fucked. And like my nephew at this point is laughing pretty hysterically because he's obviously nervous as fuck, as we all are. But yeah, my dad just kept trucking along. We were behind a semi now, and we just kept following it. And then the storm kind of eased, and just as quick as it came, it was like gone. And you could see on the horizon, it looked like there were two tornadoes there, like visible. And you're like, which one did we go through? Did we go through both? WTF, mate. But like, it was fucked. And then we got to the hotel and it was still like kind of windy and raining. Not hail or like drastic winds, but there was still some shit going on. And we were just like talking about what did we just go through right now? It was bonkers, but holy shit, it's something that I won't forget. You don't always remember every memory from a kid, but this one, it's in there. But yeah, that was a little short today, a little shorter episode. But who likes short shorts? I like short shorts. Anyway, it was a busy weekend. My wife Caitlin and I celebrated our 1 year wedding anniversary. Great weekend, Couldn't be in front of sports all the time, but life is bigger than sports. Sometimes I even have to say it. But thanks to the internet, we can catch up on everything. So thanks for catching up with me. Thanks for tuning in. Episode 18 in the books. Peyton Manning, holla at your boy. Thanks again for coming along. I may have a guest next weekend. That's coming. So thanks again for coming. Enjoy summer. Enjoy the weather. Take care, everyone. Ren City out.